Welcome to Tame Your Talent, and this is Less is More. Less is more? Where did I come up with that nugget right there? Less is more. That's today's lesson, and that's what we're going to talk about. How is less more? Well, if you give me about 10 to 15 minutes, I'll explain it to you right now how less is more. Have you ever gone to an event where there's somebody on the microphone and they're speaking? And that somebody on the microphone is speaking, and all they're doing is talking, to a point where maybe you listen to it for a little bit, but then you kind of tune out, right? You guys, right? Like, talk to me, right? You've been in this situation, of course you have, right? So how do you avoid being that guy or that girl? How do you do that? How do you avoid being what we like to call in the business white noise? And white noise is just a sound that you just hear, but you don't know what it is, and you don't know what they're saying or what's going on, right? Public communication is absolutely important when it comes down to it. You've got to be able to communicate effectively, all right? You're asking, right? How do you communicate effectively, right? Okay, well, that's a good question. How do you communicate effectively when it comes to a crowd? Well, like I said in previous lessons, you get them on your side. You engage the crowd. Engaging the crowd is so important. My gosh, I can't even stress enough that engaging the crowd is so darn important. Because if you need the crowd to do something for you, they're gonna if they're engaged. If you're gonna ask them to keep doing things, it's like your kids, right? If you have kids, maybe you don't have kids, but as a parent, I feel like I have to repeat the same thing over and over and over and over again. And when I'm at an event announcing something and somebody says, announce this, and I need you to announce it again, I need you to announce it again, and I need you to announce it again. And then they apologize to me for making me announce it so much. So I tell them, I go, don't apologize to me, because I have kids. I'm used to saying things a million times. But in announcing, that doesn't necessarily work for you, because people tune you out, just like kids can tune you out. I mean, did you tune out your parents when they just like are talking and talking, like tune out? And the kids of an announcer, believe me, they're tired of hearing their announcer dad be an announcer all the time. So communicating effectively is so important when it comes down to the crowd. Get them engaged. Talk to the crowd. Treat them as one person. It's one of my favorite ways to do it. Treat them as one person. Like, how are you guys doing? Show of hands. Have you been here before? What's going on? Who's happy to be here? Who wishes they're at home? Just whatever you got to do, communicate with them. You can get creative with them. This is one of those things that you can be fully creative. You come out here and you see some funny people wearing some like chicken costumes. Well, you can have fun with those people. They're in the crowd. You can have fun with them. So you can engage with them. See something that, see a parent with two twins, and the twins are all dressed alike. Well, you can say something to them like, oh, look, the twins are out here, like whatever. You can just find your ways to communicate your own way. Be creative. It's super good, okay? Demographic connection. Demographic connection. Well, that's just identifying with the demographics. And the demographics is the age group of the people that are out there supporting the event or the cause or whatever you're at. So know your demographics and know how to communicate with various demographics. Now, you've heard me talk about this in other lessons. The reason I'm talking about it, because it's a teachable moment again. Knowing the demographics has saved me a million different times. You talk to families different, you talk to elderly people different, you talk to college kids different, you talk to grade school kids. So know your demographics when it goes down into it. And if you get out there and you're thinking it was going to be a bunch of families and then it's all a bunch of kids, then you might want to adjust your game plan a little bit. Adjust how you're going to speak to them, okay? And we all know the difference. Kids are different to talk to than adults, than the elderly. So they're all a little bit different too. So just plan for adjustments when it comes down to it, because you just don't know. You can have an idea of what the crowd's going to be like or what the people are going to be like, but you don't know until you get there. And there's been, so many of the events I do, I don't know until I get there what they're going to be like. But I sure as heck will take a look at the crowd and say, all right, I might want to adjust my game plan, all right? Speaking of game plan, have a plan. You hear me talk about having a plan. Look, the reason I'm telling you to have a plan, because I've had a plan for years when it comes down to it. And when I first started out, I didn't have a plan. I would just go out there, they'd hand me a microphone, I'd start talking with no plan, and I'd leave stuff out and forget stuff, and they're always asking you to make this announcement, make this announcement. But if you have a plan, it's the best way to do it, okay? Have a plan. Don't wing it. Like, that's what I used to think was the best way to do it, was to wing it. But there is no possible way that you can wing it and deliver the proper job. Yeah, you can. Look, I can wing an event and do a good job, right? To where people are like, wow, you did a good job. But in my mind, I know I didn't do the best I could do, okay? And winging an event, you never can do the best you can do. Even if you know that subject so good, never wing it. So, some people need a loose plan. Some people need an intricate, detailed plan. Like my wife, she's all about the detailed plan. My wife needs to have this plan all laid out. This is what's going on. This is going on. She has to have it scripted, whatever she needs to do. That's how she likes to do it, okay? But some people, that doesn't work for them. Some people want a loose plan. So me, I like a plan. I'm somewhere in the middle of the loose plan and the intricate plan. Like, I like a heavier plan, an idea of what I'm going to do, but I don't like to put so much into the plan that it goes awry, and then all the work I did to go around the plan that I had didn't work because the time was constrained and stuff changed and the schedule changed. So that's why I don't like to go too intense when it comes to the plan. I like to have a good idea of where I'm going and a little bit of freestyle, but definitely know where I'm going, okay? It's one of the most important things. Integration, sponsor integration, I love to call this one. This is one of my favorite ones. Sponsor integration. Now, I was doing a professional snowboarding event for a major company. We were broadcasting on the web. It was a big event. And they had different sponsors out there. They have a few different sponsors. And so what my fellow announcer and I decided that we would do is we would talk about the sponsors, but we integrated the sponsors into our everyday talk. Now, I think one of the sponsors was Pop-Tarts, and we had mentioned, like, I was having a Pop-Tart this morning before I got into my Chevy truck, and Chevy was another sponsor. Before I got in my Chevy truck, I made sure, I almost forgot to brush my teeth with my Crest toothpaste, and Crest was a sponsor too as well. So what we'd done is we went through all the sponsors and integrated it into what we had done in the morning to get ready to get to work and to finish the day. And it even wrapped up with, and after the competition's over, an ice cold Bud Light, because Bud Light was a sponsor too as well. So what we did was integrated the sponsorship into a fun read. And this has been, I think this is probably about 8 years ago that we did this, and still people to this day, when I do this event, still talk about that to this day that we did, and they thought it was the most creative. So to this day, I still do that. When I find some of the sponsors at an event, I kind of have fun with them and integrate them to what I'm doing. And once again, it's all about being creative. You just want to be creative when it comes down to it. So less is more. You don't want people to tune you out. And the faster way to people tune you out, when you got a laundry list of things that you're just going to read 1, 2, 3, 4, you're going to read all the way through this, people are going to tune you out. That's what's going to happen. You're going to get tuned out. So you don't want to be white noise. So public communication, communicating, not being the announcer and these are the people, being in one together, talking with them. Public communication, very important. Also, have a plan. Have a plan. If you're a person who needs a full detailed plan, make a full detailed plan, but you better darn be sure that you're proactive if things don't go your way, okay? Or at least, very least, have a loose plan. Have an idea of how you're going to start, what's your middle like, and what's your end like, okay? Integration. Nobody wants to just hear you read the sponsors. Like, it's brought to you by this sponsor. It's brought to you by this sponsor. It's brought to you by this sponsor. No one wants to hear that. So integrate your sponsorship with what you're doing. Have fun with it. And be creative, all right? Now, story time. This story is when I was working in the NBA. And Back in the day, I was working for the National Basketball Association for a professional basketball team in Los Angeles. And I was hired to be their on-court announcer. So my job was to come out, be an on-court announcer, and do the sales stuff and do the giveaways and the half-court shot. And that was my job I was hired to do. Well, I came into work that day, ready to go. And this is the NBA. This is the National Basketball Association in Los Angeles, Staples Center. I'm ready to walk on the court and do my first ever announcing in the NBA. And one of the persons I was working with had told me about the person who did it last year. I didn't know someone had done it last year. I didn't know they had an announcer. And if they had an announcer last year, where's that announcer now? Where did he go? How's it, right? Did he just disappear? Where did he go? So then I heard the story that what happened to him was he was fired. The announcer was fired after only a half a game. How did the announcer hired to work in the NBA last a half a game? How did he do it? What did he do? So here's what happened, what I was told. So it was time for him to go on court and host this little game that they were going to do. And so he went out on court with one of the things I said not to do, rap star Mike upside down, and he starts his spiel off, yo, 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 says his name, and then tries to start to do the promotion that he was supposed to do. The crowd starts booing him. Absolutely crazy. Here's a guy that was on reality TV, right? Who thought that, he's already an announcer. He's already done reality TV, so this should be a walk in the park for him. So he goes out there, yo, 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 says his name, Mike upside down. The crowd doesn't know who he is. That's almost disrespecting the team at this point. Who is this guy, right? So they're booing him uncontrollably. Boo, boo. He can't even finish what he's saying. The people pull him off the court, and they're all, wow, that was really ugly. What do we do? Well, we got another one coming up. Let's try and do another one. And so another break came in the game, and he was supposed to go out there. He did the same thing again. Mike upside down, inverted, rap guy, yo, 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 it's me, and said his name again. The crowd booed him even louder this time, to a point where they pulled him off and said, hey, bud, why don't we just cut our losses right now? Look, the crowd doesn't like you, so you're not going to be an announcer. This isn't going to work out for the NBA team. And so he was released. He didn't even make it to halftime, and he got released. So fast forward a year later, I come out to do that, and I'm told this story before I go on the court. Like, here's a story that I'm told before I go on the court. Are you freaking kidding me? Don't tell me something like this right now. So the story is told to me, and so now I'm thinking, like, oh my gosh, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do? What do I do? I do. And I'm like, I'm reaching for straws. I don't know what to do here. My break is coming up in 2 minutes. I'm supposed to be out there. I'm supposed to be talking to the crowd. Am I going to get booed? Are they going to yell at me? Am I going to get kicked off? And I'm like, I go, Brad, just calm down. Don't even say your name. The team is doing really good right now. So get the crowd to make some noise for the team right when they turn your mic on. All right? Just get the crowd. Hey, everybody, make some noise. Put your hands together. Like, do that. And so that's exactly what I did. So they go, Brad, you're on. So I start walking out in the court, and I go, all right, Los Angeles, make some noise for your team. And the crowd went absolutely wild because the team was doing good. I don't know what I would have done if the team was doing crappy, but they were doing good. And then I got right into the contest that I had to do with two people that were from the crowd. And I pulled it off. The crowd did not boo me. I got through it, got off stage, pulled it off. And then I went on to many, many more years doing that same job just because of that moment. Now, if I would have chose that moment in a different way and did it like the other guy did, that job wouldn't have lasted me very long at all. It was almost 10 years of my career at doing that. So that's your story right there. And that is Less is More, and this is Tame Your Talent.